You're watching ABC 7 News at 4, starting with First Alert Weather.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan on the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Irma as it was moving through the Suncoast at this time. Whole different story right now. We're going to get more into that a little bit later in this newscast. We've got a lot of action in the tropics, obviously, as you know. We'll go over some of that right now and a little bit more later. Right now, some showers, not much, developing on the west coast sea breeze, well inland, and with a southwest wind, most of those storms pushing away from the coast right now. Little activity near Port Charlotte, also near Northport, again, moving to the northeast. The forecast tonight does call for those showers to continue in that general direction. Things will switch around again to the east and northeast beginning tomorrow, and that will start to bring those storms back toward the coast. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later. But boy, the tropics are active. This is the peak day statistically of hurricane season on this 10th of September. And get a look at this. We have 4 separate areas that we are watching. Obviously, Florence is looking like a classic Category 4 hurricane, and that's what it is now. Could even go to 5. We have an investigation area there in the southwest Caribbean, which is always kind of dangerous for us, but that is going to go off toward the Texas and Louisiana border. So that Invest 95 in the northwest Caribbean is going to be heading away from Florida. Isaac is going to get into the Caribbean, and Helene should stay open into the open waters of the Atlantic. There's another system just northeast of Florence that we're not too concerned about, but there's the forecast path and track. Again, it looks like the storm will make landfall. More and more indications are that it will. It'll be a catastrophic storm as a result of it just kind of spinning around for 2 days over the Carolinas, dumping what could be up to 2 feet of rainfall. So, again, that's what we're concerned with. We'll watch all these storms as they make their way in through the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico. More on that a little bit later. Jacqueline, Scott.
All right, Bob, thank you. As Bob mentioned, it's been 1 year since Hurricane Irma made landfall in Florida and made its way north through the state. The Category 4 storm was the first major hurricane to threaten the area since Hurricane Charlie in 2004.
That's right. Irma left behind downed trees and power outages and a blueprint for dealing with future storms. ABC 7's Jess Dowderick joins us now with a look back at that storm. Jess?
Jacqueline, Scott, when Hurricane Irma hit the Gulf Coast, it brought 115-mile-per-hour winds and 5 feet of storm surge to parts of the state. The Suncoast was fortunate in comparison to places like Marco Island and Fort Myers, but still the storm left devastating damage to many residents here on the Suncoast. This time last year, thousands of Floridians packed their bags and headed north on I-75, only to be met with traffic jams and fuel shortages. Water was cleared off of the shelves, plywood, and generators. They were hard to find. Sarasota and Manatee County shelters, they were packed with evacuees. Then overnight on September 10th, the storm barreled through the Suncoast, taking down trees and power lines with it. The storm left hundreds of thousands of people without power for days, some for weeks, and piles of debris laid on the side of the roads for months. We all learned a lot from Hurricane Irma, including both emergency management teams for Sarasota and Manatee counties. Coming up at 6, I'll tell you about some of those lessons learned and the changes that have come since Irma as the Suncoast prepares for future storms. Scott.
All right, thank you so much, Jess. We have all the information you need to know on our website to help you prepare for hurricane season. Go to mysuncoast.com. And then under the weather tab, you'll find a link to our 1-hour hurricane special called Surviving the Storm, as well as a Principal 2018 Hurricane Guide. Well, after a short-lived break, red tide is back in many areas on the Suncoast. ABC 7's Taylor Torregano has more from Casey Key with the current conditions there.
Scott, the water here is a murky brown. My eyes are watering, my throat is scratchy, but even with all of these dead fish, the neighbors say this red tide is a lot better than it was just a few weeks ago. Hank Tefero has lived on Casey Key since 1994. He says this summer is in the top 3 worst red tide he has ever seen. Today, old and new dead fish lined the coast with several more sparkling in the murky brown waters. Sarasota County said its crews hand-removed minor fish kill at Blind Pass, Minnesota, Venice, North Jetty, Turtle, and Siesta beaches. Moat says we did get a short break thanks to Tropical Storm Gordon's winds pushing the cells to the northwest. But this week, red tide still covers about 120 miles of coastline from Pinellas to northern Collier counties. High concentrations remain in Sarasota, Charlotte, and Lee counties only. Hear more from locals about the conditions here and what Moat has to say about the beach conditions at other locations in Sarasota County coming up at 6 p.m. For now, I'm reporting from Casey Key, Taylor Torregano, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
Taylor, thank you. Many businesses are still feeling the impact from red tide. The Small Business Administration is partnering with local county leaders to open recovery centers. Loans will be offered for those affected by the bloom that began late last year. Now, the Manatee County Library Island branch will have SBA's customer service representatives Monday through Saturday to help individuals complete their applications. There will also be representatives at Bee Ridge Park in Sarasota. Those who are eligible may qualify for loans of up to $2 million. You can see all of our red tide coverage on our website. Just go to mysuncoast.com/red tide. Jacqueline joins us now with new developments in the case of a Dallas police officer who shot one of her neighbors inside his own apartment.
Scott, that officer has now been identified as Amber Geiger and was expected to face manslaughter charges, but the Texas Rangers are now saying they need more time to investigate. Investigators say Officer Geiger was in uniform, returning home from her shift on Thursday and entered the wrong apartment when she fatally shot 26-year-old youth pastor Botham Jean. Geiger was off duty at the time, saying that she thought Jean was an intruder in her own apartment.
This is an extremely bizarre case. From start to the point we are now, none of the normal protocols have been applied.
Geiger was also involved in a 2017 shooting but had not been indicted. That man hospitalized after he allegedly tried to take the officer's taser. Now to another Me Too fallout, this time for the longtime CEO of CBS, Les Moonves. After being at the top for nearly 2 decades, Moonves is now stepping down amid new accusations of sexual assault and harassment. 6 more women have come forward with disturbing allegations of sexual misconduct, in addition to the 7 women who had already come forward. Ronan Farrow is behind the just published New Yorker article featuring 6 women, detailing those allegations spanning nearly 3 decades.
It is the first example of a Fortune 500 CEO, someone who is really thought to be immune to criticism, has stepped down.
Moonves continues to deny all allegations of misconduct. He and CBS have announced they will immediately donate $20 million to organizations that support the Me Too movement, and that money will be coming directly from any severance for Moonves. Well, President Trump continues to tweet about his frustrations with the upcoming release of Bob Woodward's new book. The book is called Fear: Trump in the White House. President Trump lashing out today, claiming that book was an assault against him and suggesting he would write the real book about the White House. On the backdrop of all of this is the upcoming midterm elections. With less than 2 months to go until those elections, former President Barack Obama, is back on the campaign trail for his fellow Democrats.
In 2 months, we have a chance to restore some sanity in our politics.
The next few months leading up to this, or the midterms, are critical. Democrats are hoping President Obama will give them the boost they need to take back the House. And right here in Florida, U.S. Republican Representative Ron DeSantis is resigning from Congress as he mounts his bid to become Florida's next governor. DeSantis sent a letter to House Speaker Paul Ryan today announcing his immediate resignation. In his letter, he said that he will be spending time campaigning and it would be, quote, inappropriate to accept a salary while he is running for governor. DeSantis is locked in a tight battle against Democratic nominee and Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum. Still to come on ABC 7's News at 4, both the Carolinas and Virginia have declared states of emergency. We'll have the latest on the storm and preparations that are underway. In China, tariffs could soon cost you a lot more on some of your favorite Apple products. Plus, one Southern girl had a heck of a homecoming weekend, taking not 1, but 2 prestigious honors at her high school. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, Contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Detoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
You like to pay less. That's why you made Honda Accord the best-selling midsize car in America. Get the redesigned Accord, the North American Car of the Year, or Civic, a KBP.com Best Buy for less than the competition. Like SUVs and trucks? Get Motor Trend's SUV of the Year, CR-V, the 8-passenger Pilot, or Ridgeline truck for up to $4,240 less today at your local Honda dealer.
If you think it's hot outside, just wait until you see even hotter savings inside. Only at Rugs As Art Hot Summer Savings Sale event will you find the lowest prices on a vast selection of stunning rugs, furniture accents, and accessories. This special event only happens once a year, so hurry in before the best selections are gone. The Hot Summer Savings event ends soon, so don't miss out on the best prices ever. Rugs As Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
New at 4, a Northport man is facing felony charges after deputies found 2 malnourished dogs in his care that were infected with parasites. Animal Services called to a home on Nimbus Drive back on August 29th and found the home covered in urine and feces with multiple dogs, cats, reptiles, and spiders inside. Deputies found 2 dogs that were extremely malnourished and 2 puppies that were found in cages without access to water. Brian Eichmann is also accused of lying to deputies about the veterinarian care that the animals had. A toddler has died after being found in a pond in Charlotte County. Deputies responded to reports of a missing 2-year-old at a home on Washington Loop in Punta Gorda this weekend. By the time deputies arrived, the toddler had been found by family members in a pond on the property. Paramedics tried to revive the child, but the child was pronounced dead. The sheriff's office continues to investigate what happened. Police have identified a man found murdered in Northport on Saturday. Tyrone Kennard was found dead around 7:30 Saturday morning in a remote area near the Charlotte County line. Police found Kennard's vehicle later in Port Charlotte and are now asking for tips. If you have any information on the murder, call 429-7323. Let's go to Jacqueline now in the newsroom for the latest on a gas line explosion in Pennsylvania.
Scott, the sky lit up this morning after a gas line exploded, sending flames shooting into the air. Take a look at the video. Several homes in western Pennsylvania had to be evacuated as a precaution. It all happened in Beaver County, which is near Pittsburgh. Thankfully, no injuries were reported in that accident, and the flames began to subside after gas in the lines burned off. Well, a Mississippi teenager traded her homecoming crown for a football helmet. Then she kicked the game-winning extra point at the big game. Senior Kaylee Foster is the kicker for Ocean Springs High School's football team. She's been kicking competitively since she was in 7th grade. Now, before the game, she was also named homecoming queen. During the game, she kicked 2 field goals and an extra point for the overtime win. Her first sports love is soccer, which she will be playing next year at Mississippi College. Well, dogs were hanging 20 at a surf-a-thon at a Southern California Dogs Beach over the weekend. More than 70 dogs got to show off their skills on the waves. The annual event at Del Mar Dog Beach is in its 13th year. It's a chance to highlight some of man's best friend's gnarliest tricks. All those event proceeds benefited the Helen Woodward Animal Center in Rancho Santa Fe, California. Let's send it back to Scott in the newsroom for a look at your consumer news.
Jacqueline, there's more back and forth over tariffs between the White House and Ford after Ford announced it's stopping plans to import an entry-level car made in China because of new tariffs. The president then tweeted the company should just make the car in America. But Ford responded saying it would not be profitable to build it here in the U.S. Ford Focus Active was supposed to go on sale here next summer. Apple says China tariffs could make their products more expensive. The U.S. has proposed $200 billion worth of tariffs on Chinese-made goods. Apple said its wireless AirPods and the Apple Watch could see an increase in cost. The president took to Twitter to address the issue, saying, quote, "There is an easy solution where there would be zero tax," going on to say Apple should make their products in the U.S. instead of China. Questions are being raised about companies making and marketing certain versions of drugs that in some instances sidestep the normal FDA testing process. They're known as drug compounders and work basically like pharmacies by remixing drugs, but at a large scale, resulting in a lower price. Now, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that a number of pharmaceutical companies have filed lawsuits against these compounders to stop them from production. Let's get back to Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan with our first alert forecast.
Yeah, potentially catastrophic storm heading toward the Carolinas right now, and it's up to Category 4 status once again, and it could even go higher. There's a chance because it's moving over very warm water temperatures. On top of that, excellent outflow in the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is, as I said, a potentially catastrophic storm heading toward the Carolinas right now. Get a look at this. 4 separate areas, just amazing that we're watching. Really 5, but this one in particular is kind of concerning. There's always be a situation where this could possibly harm west central Florida, but the news is high pressure to the north of us is going to bump this off toward Texas and Louisiana. This obviously is the healthiest storm. Florence, top winds now at Category 4 status, 130 miles an hour. Isaac, also a storm we'll watch very closely. This one, Helene, not too much of a concern at this juncture. We'll start with the biggest one first. Florence, satellite imagery showing the system getting better and better organized with a well-defined eye. You can see it quite clearly. So what's going to happen now, it's going to go through a series of intensifying, and then it will kind of relax as a secondary eye wall will form. So it expands its wind field. That's not good news. It's got a lot of time to expand its wind field over the next 3 days as it moves over very warm water. That means the tropical storm force winds will start to build out from the center, and so will the hurricane force winds. So it's going to have a bigger impact on the Carolinas. On top of that, it's moving at a 90-degree angle, and pretty much, and we're thinking it's going to stay that way too, to the coastline in the Carolinas. Typically, they get the ones that bend there, and so it's not of a direct hit. This could be a direct hit with a life-threatening storm surge anticipated with this system. On top of that, it's going to slow down once it hits or gets close to the Carolinas, and that means the potential for some extreme rainfall once again. Now, as far as the winds go, they're at 130. It's moving to the west at 13 miles an hour and is expected to move on into the Carolinas. And notice this is 2 days' time right there. On Thursday, 145-mile-an-hour winds sustained with gusts up to about 170 at that point, and the winds extending out from the center about 30 miles now, but by the time it reaches here, more than likely it'll be 60 miles out from the center. And then it just kind of sits here and spins as a Category 1 hurricane on Friday at 85 miles an hour just south of Raleigh. And then even on Saturday, still hanging around. That will draw a tremendous amount of moisture into the foothills and to the mountains of parts of North Carolina, and that will cause, as I said, some significant flooding problems. Now, Isaac is a Category 1 storm, and that's going to head into the Caribbean, and looks like it will be a 1 as it makes its way through the northern portions of the Leeward Islands there. But by Saturday, it should be downgraded to a tropical storm. Again, looks like winds will actually be down on Friday and Saturday, and then it gets ripped apart and sheared apart. Now, we'd have to watch this one. Here's what the forecast models are doing. They're calling for a bending of that across parts of the Dominican Republic, which will also bring significant flooding problems throughout that region. This system really flared up over the last 24 hours. It has a 50% chance developing. This is the expected movement of it. It is an invest area right now, but soon to be another tropical system, possibly a tropical depression on the way. And then Helene, we don't have to worry about much. It's going to head off into the open waters of the Atlantic. So there you go. There's another system way up there in the Atlantic, which bears no concern. For us, we have these showers and storms moving off from the southwest to the northeast, and we are anticipating that pattern to change once again tomorrow. We'll start to see winds shift to an east-northeasterly direction, which will bring those storms back toward the coast. So for boaters, it looks to be east winds turning to the northwest at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be running 1 to 2 feet with a light chop. So the extended forecast calling for only a 20% chance for a few showers tomorrow. A little bit better chance on Thursday and Friday, and obviously we'll be watching the tropics and see what happens with that. Now, the app tease. We're going to talk about the First Alert Weather app. We are watching all these systems, and you can too, and that information comes directly from the National Hurricane Center as far as the latest goes on all the different storm systems that you want to track and care to track, but they're all there available on our First Alert Weather app. So go to your app store and download WWSB First Alert Weather.
Yeah, we're all watching Florence. This is a massive storm. Right. You know, we have friends, family. We've all traveled to parts of North Carolina, South Carolina.
Today I got a call, some students up there from here, and they meant to be, you know, lifted out of there, you know, to take off before the storm gets there.
Right. Well, the governors of North and South Carolina, along with Virginia, have declared states of emergency far ahead of the hurricane. People have been stocking up on plywood, bottled water, other supplies. Off Virginia's coast, red flags are already flying on beaches there, warning swimmers to stay out of the water as those seas begin kicking up.
And people rush to get emergency kits ready, maps out, escape routes, fill sandbags, and secure their homes. We've done that last year. Florida-based Carnival Cruise Line has rerouted its cruise ships to avoid the storm, and there's a big hub there too. I'm sure a lot of flights will be starting to be delayed beginning on Wednesday.
Yep. It's going to be a story throughout the week. Well, after 6 days of being closed, a section of a key freeway in Redding, California, that's in Northern California, has now opened with some restrictions. The Delta fire forcing that road to shut down because of that wildfire that continues to tear through the northern part of the state. The fire grew overnight to 47,000 acres. It's only 5% contained at this point. The Forest Service officials say that smoke covered the area yesterday. That created some shade, which did help reduce the fire spread just a little bit.
About 2,400 personnel are battling the flames, but firefighters don't expect to fully contain the fire until September 22nd. With a slight change in weather, they are hoping to gain some ground and contain the flames sooner than that.
Yep. All right, Bob, thank you. More to come in your Suncoast News. A $5 scratch-off ticket in Florida led to the winning of hundreds of thousands of dollars for one Central Florida woman.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Roberts from Suncoast View. Here's what's coming up Tuesday morning live at 9. It is National Drive Electric Week. Everything you need to know about electric cars to help make a difference in our environment. Plus a preview of Anne of Green Gables from Manatee Performing Arts Center, and Oasis Cafe will be cooking up brunch for us in the kitchen. That's all coming up tomorrow morning live at 9.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000. Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
Need more space in your place? The More Space Place can help with Murphy beds that disappear to reveal a home office, living room, or den. Custom closets with designated areas for your shoes, bags, wardrobe, and accessories. Custom-built entertainment centers, garage storage systems, and more. The More Space Place has 3 showrooms next to Sonny's on US 41 South in Sarasota, on Lakewood Ranch Boulevard just south of State Route 64 in Bradenton, and on Tamiami Trail next to Panera Bread in Port Charlotte. Put more space in your place at the More Space Place.
Gettle's got what you're looking for at Gettle.com. 17 new car brands, over 1,000 used vehicles, prices and payments you can afford. Credit help if you need it, and they pay cash for your old car. Plus, Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Need service? Gettle's got that too. Gettle's got it. Visit Gettle.com.
Judy here, I think hospice was a tremendous source of support for her.
Absolutely. With Jennifer and Kimberly and Liza's constant contact with us, coming in, just knowing that there was someone with knowledge there to back us up, to answer our questions, it made a world of difference.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
A woman from Wauchula is now $500,000 richer. Andrea Lampley won $500,000 on a $5 Extra Place scratch-off ticket that she bought from a mobile mart in Wauchula. According to the Florida Lottery, Extra Play offers more than $58 million in cash prizes, including 8 top prizes of $500,000 each. All right, back to Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan for a final look at our forecast this evening. Bob?
Scott, we're looking pretty good. We have some inland showers mainly off the coast right now, pushing to the northeast. High pressure has been bumped down to the south because of this front. This front is weakening, and what's going to happen is high pressure is going to build back north before Florence arrives. And so that will give us that east to northeasterly wind flow tomorrow, and that will bring some of the storms back, or at least closer to the coast. But you'll notice all the activity right now is generally east of I-75, although we have some showers near Northport and Port Charlotte. There hasn't been a whole lot of activity along the area beaches, and you can see that activity right there near Northport, stretching down to Port Charlotte, and one just to the northwest of Arcadia. So fairly quiet here right now. There was one little shower near Fruitville and I-75. We could still expect a pop-up shower here and there. As far as the tropics go, we talked about this earlier. Here's that other system out there in the Atlantic. This is not going to be a factor, but just shows you 1 there, 2, 3, 4, and 5 systems right now, and of course Gordon has been absorbed by this frontal boundary, so quite an active day today, considering this is the peak of hurricane season. Statistically, September 10th is the peak, and again, looks like Florence is getting better and better organized, expected to get increasing in strength as well. We'll have more of that at 5. Scott?
All right, Bob, thank you. And thank you for joining us on ABC 7 News at 4. We hope to see you again at 5 o'clock.